Hello, and welcome to Tales for Life. In each episode of this podcast, we'll explore a folk or fairy tale from a different culture or region and discover the life lessons, values, and morals they offer that we can use today. Join me on the journey through the magical and meaningful world of folk and fairy tales. Hello, story lovers, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Tales for Life, the podcast that journeys through life one tale at a time. We've probably all heard of the magic words, those being please and thank you, but there are other words too that are equally important. In honor of those words, I've titled this episode, The Power of Kind Words. We can all agree that words are incredibly powerful. They have the ability to influence thoughts, emotions, and actions. Part of that reason is that what words do is communicate the thoughts, ideas, and emotions of those who say them. That is, when we speak, we're not just creating sound, we're expressing what's going on inside our own heads and hearts. And when what we convey this way interacts with another person, we can touch their heads and hearts too. Words can lift us up, bring us down, and everything in between. They're like magic spells that can change how we feel, think, and even act. Without too much effort, you can probably think of many times that a few words have touched your heart or changed your thoughts. That's the magic of words. They have this incredible ability to connect us to others, even written words. But besides the magic words, there are some pretty special words, word heroes, if you will, kind words. They might seem small and simple, but their impact is massive. Kind words have the power to brighten someone's day and sometimes even change their life. The worst atrocities in the world were the result of unkind words. But the best things that have ever happened came as the result of kind words. The power of words has been recognized and appreciated throughout generations, which is why we have folk tales. So, putting into words the power of these kind words is pretty much a no-brainer. One great folk tale from England that fits this topic to a T, and which you may recognize for its similarity to a more famous French tale, is titled The Small-Toothed Dog. Once upon a time, there was a merchant who traveled about the world a great deal. On one of his journeys, thieves attacked him, and they would have taken both his life and his money if a large dog had not come to his rescue and driven the thieves away. When the dog had driven the thieves away, he took the merchant to his house, which was a very handsome one, and dressed his wounds and nursed him till he was well. As soon as he was able to travel, the merchant began his journey home. But before starting, he told the dog how grateful he was for his kindness, and asked him what reward he could offer in return, and he said he would not refuse to give the most precious thing he had. And so the merchant said to the dog, "Will you accept a fish I have that can speak 12 languages?" "No," said the dog, "I will not." "Or a goose that lays golden eggs?" "No," said the dog, "I will not." "Or a mirror in which you can see what anybody is thinking about?" "No," said the dog, "I will not." "Then what will you have?" said the merchant. "I will have none of such presents," said the dog, "but let me fetch your daughter and bring her to my house." When the merchant heard this, he was grieved, but what he had promised had to be done. So he said to the dog, "You can come and fetch my daughter after I've been home for a week." So at the end of the week, the dog came to the merchant's house to fetch his daughter. But when he got there, he stayed outside the door and would not go in. But the merchant's daughter did as her father told her and came out of the house dressed for a journey and ready to go with the dog. When the dog saw her, he looked pleased and said, "Jump on my back, and I will take you away to my house." So she mounted on the dog's back, and away they went at a great pace until they reached the dog's house, which was many miles off. But after she had been a month at the dog's house, she began to mope and cry. "What are you crying for?" asked the dog. "Because I want to go back to my father," she said. The dog said, "If you will promise me that you will not stay there more than 3 days, I will take you there. But first of all," said he, "what do you call me?" "A great, foul, small-toothed dog," said she. "Then," said he, "I will not let you go." But she cried so pitifully that he promised again to take her home. "But before we start," he said, "tell me what you call me." "Oh," she said, "your name is sweet as a honeycomb." "Jump on my back," said he, "and I'll take you home." So he trotted away with her on his back for 40 miles when they came to a stile. "And what do you call me?" said he before they got over the stile. Thinking she was safe on her way, the girl said, "A great, foul, small-toothed dog." But when she said this, he did not jump over the stile, but turned right round again at once and galloped back to his own house with the girl on his back. Another week went by, and again the girl wept so bitterly that the dog promised to take her to her father's house. So the girl got on the dog's back again, and they reached the first stile as before, and the dog stopped and said, "And what do you call me?" "Sweet as a honeycomb," she replied. So the dog leaped over the stile, and they went on for 20 miles until they came to another stile. "And what do you call me?" said the dog with a wag of his tail. She was thinking more of her father and her own house than of the dog, so she answered, "A great, foul, small-toothed dog." Then the dog was in a great rage, and he turned right round about and galloped back to his own house as before. After she had cried for another week, the dog promised again to take her back to her father's house. So she mounted upon his back once more, and when they got to the first stile, the dog said, "And what do you call me?" "Sweet as a honeycomb," she said. So the dog jumped over the stile, and away they went, for now the girl made up her mind to say the most loving thing she could think of until they reached her father's house. When they got to the door of the merchant's house, the dog said, "And what do you call me?" Just at that moment the girl forgot the loving thing she meant to say and began, "A great..." But the dog began to turn, and she got fast hold of the door latch and was going to say "foul," when she saw how grieved the dog looked and remembered how good and patient he had been with her. So she said, "Sweeter than a honeycomb." When she had said this, she thought the dog would have been content and have galloped away. But instead of that, he suddenly stood upon his hind legs, and with his forelegs he pulled off his dog's head and tossed it high in the air. His hairy coat dropped off, and there stood the handsomest young man in the world, with the finest and smallest teeth you ever saw. Of course they were married, and lived together happily. In case you missed it, this story is similar to the famous Beauty and the Beast story. But what I really like about this one is that we're not trying to break a curse. Instead, we're focusing on the words being said, which is the real heart of the matter. And there are 2 instances that we need to be mindful of. The first, and this occurs 3 times, is that unkind words have power and hurt. When the dog asked her what she calls him, 3 times she tells him that he's a big, ugly dog with small teeth. The result? She ends up being carried back to the house and doesn't get to see her father. This is a big reminder to us that not only do unkind words hurt the person they're said to, they also rebound back on the person who says them. Just think how much extra misery she caused herself and the dog by saying them. The second instance is, of course, when she says her kind words. They weren't a lot of words, but the kindness, even though it wasn't genuine all the time, came through, and miracles happened. Just like the unkind words brought misery and unhappiness, the kind words brought happiness and delight. Everyone's life was better through the power of those few kind words. So let's remember that the words we choose can create a profound and lasting impact on our lives and the lives of those around us. Words are tools that can either build up or tear down. When we choose our words carefully to lift others up, we create a chain reaction of joy and positivity. As you go about your week, let's all strive to be mindful of the words we say, embracing the power of kind words to transform our world for the better. Keep spreading those good vibes, and we'll see you next time on Tales for Life.